Thanks, Steve. So, is your company website killing your recruiting game? How to tell and what you can do to fix it. Before we get started, please remember to turn your cell phones off. And now I want to welcome Chris Russell, who's the Managing Director of RecTech Media. And I'm hoping we're going to find out why Chris is considered the mad scientist of online recruiting. Welcome.
Thanks. Morning, everyone. People started calling me the mad scientist because I've been creating a lot of stuff over the years around recruiting. I started back in 1999 in the industry, and where I started my first job board down in Connecticut called Fairfield County Jobs. And from there, kind of just launched my foray into this industry, building technology to connect employers and candidates, something I'm really passionate about. I love to do, whether it's a career site, whether it's a job board, whether it's a recruiting app, which I built as well. I just believe that we can do a lot better in terms of using technology to find talent out there. So I do a lot of blogging as well, just like Joel back there. I blog at recruitingheadlines.com. I do a podcast called RecTech, which is about recruiting technology and how to use it to find talent. Used to be a recruiter as well, so I am a former practitioner. Worked for a e-commerce software company as their first recruiter. Took them from 10 to 20 people. And then I moved to a cruise line, which is a much different experience, hiring 10 people, about 100 every month to staff the ship. So I've seen a lot. I've done a lot in the industry, and it's all fascinating to me. I think it's a really interesting business to be in, and at the end of the day, it's about helping people get jobs, which is, I think, a noble endeavor. So today I do kind of HR tech consulting for both vendors and employers around their career sites, recruitment marketing, things like that. So check me out at RecTech Media. So today we're going to talk about making your career site better. All right. I'm kind of on a personal mission to get companies to proactively promote themselves better, and it starts with your career site today. So to me, the goals of a career site are basically these. You want to browse and apply for jobs. You want to learn more about the company itself, and most importantly, you want to know why you should work there. So that's kind of messaging we're going to be talking about today. Just a few stats I found about career sites to kind of to whet your beak a bit. So spending money on career sites yields the highest efficiency of any external source of hire. For every $1 spent, you can expect a 2x return. That's according to Burson Talent Acquisition Consultancy. You know, when candidates go to apply for a job online, they don't immediately, if they see a job, they might go to your website first. 59% look up the company's website. 66% want to know about your culture and values. 54% about perks and benefits. And 50% about mission and vision. All right, so they're using your company website just like they do Glassdoor and other social channels to find out more about you. But the career site is your chance to shape the messaging, right? It's your chance to tell people who you're about and why you should work there. So for today, I picked out 3 examples of what I think are great career sites. You have Gartner, jobs.gartner.com, Tenable, which is a cybersecurity firm, and Purple, which is it's a mattress company, actually. It's a fairly new company. I kind of found them on Facebook, and though they have just basically a one-page website, it's still a great example, I think, and we'll go through that. So today we're going to go through some do's and don'ts about career sites, what you should do, and also we're going to dive deep into some of these sites here, and kind of give you some real-world examples on how they're doing it to hopefully inspire you to go back to your career site and improve it and enhance it. So there's a lot of companies out there today who are still kind of behind the times. A lot of them are one-page career sites, which I hate. So rule number one is move beyond one page. Okay. When I went to the cruise line, we had a one-page website that was attached to the corporate site itself. Had literally no information on it, just how to apply basically. So I took that and I created a separate standalone career site for the company. It's called aclcareers.com. That was basically about a 10-page site that really went into detail in terms of what's life like working aboard the ships. It was very visual in terms of its content, and getting visual today is also a big part of career sites, and we'll get into that. So how many people here have a one-page career site? Okay. Anybody have a standalone career site, separate from their corporate site? No. Okay. Next rule, stop promoting your ATS. All right, this is kind of a pet peeve of mine. So when you get an ATS, they set it up for you. They put it on their own domain name, basically. So things like careers.yourname.isims.com or jobs.yourname.taleo.com, for example. Right? I'm sure many of you have this in place today, whatever your ATS is. But they don't tell you that you can actually change that. All right? So I'm going to get a little techie here for a second. But if you create a subdomain, careers.yourdomain.com, you can point it to your ATS's domain name and get rid of that branding altogether. So you don't want to me, it's about the user experience. If you're sending people to a link that's not your own, you're just kind of confusing them a little bit. So keep them on your own domain name, number one. So subdomain could be careers.jobs.employment.employment. Whichever you like. But it's pretty simple to set up. Just ask your IT guy to create a subdomain like that and point it to the subdomain your ATS gave you. It takes about 5 minutes. That's all you have to do. You can get rid of that iSIMS branding or Taleo branding across your websites. So it's a pretty simple thing to do, and it's easy. It's free. Right? Same thing with their logos. You can ask them to take the logos off if you don't want them on there. ATS is not going to tell you this stuff because they want to promote themselves as well. It's part of how they get clients. So it's something to keep in mind. Must be mobile friendly. It kind of goes without saying these days. Does everybody in here have a mobile friendly career site today? Anybody who does not have it? Okay, you're losing out on candidates if you don't. For many career sites, many companies, it's half of the visitors to their sites are mobile. All right, they're coming in off a Facebook app or a LinkedIn app, and if they can't browse it properly, they're going to leave. And so it's about converting them into your applicants. So you can see here, these are the 3 sites I've picked and what they look like. And as you can tell, they're all very visual on mobile. They're just shaped in a different way, but it's the same website that you see on desktop. And all of them have pictures of people. They have taglines on top, simple navigation, and just kind of great coloring and design overall. Next rule, no stock photos. Who here is guilty of that? Come on. I know some of you are. Candidates want to see real photos from your employees in action. Okay? This is fake to them. They can smell this a mile away. So get rid of those stock photos. If you look in the previous example, Gartner and Purple, those are all real employees there. I think Tenable as well. So hire a photographer or give your intern a camera and let him at it. The more, and this goes back to authenticity. The more real you are, the more they're going to like you overall. All right. So this one's another pet peeve. So I'm working with a client out in Maine, a job board company. They have a couple clients we've discovered that are still using PDFs to publish their job listings online. PDFs are not crawlable by Google. They're not going to be listed in Google Jobs. And so it just boggles my mind that this is still happening out there. If I found 2 examples, there's probably 2,000 examples up there. One of these companies is the state of Maine, so I don't know what it is about states and recruiting, but they need some help. So no PDFs. You also need to define and brand your EVP, your employer value proposition, which is basically why you should work there and what makes you different as a company. At the cruise line, when I came in, there was no EVP, so as part of my, when I applied to the job actually, I created an EVP for them in order to get the job. So I created a graphic with one of their ships and I called it Cruise to Work. And that got me in the door. And it's still in use today by them as their kind of EVP, right? So it talks about, it's a message that I think resonates with candidates because it kind of gets you excited about going to work. You're not driving to work, you're cruising to work. Right, and you're talking about cruising on the ships, so it kind of ties into the overall mission of the company, and that's part of why it's a great thing to add to your site. This is Tenables here. It's called Build Something That Matters, and it goes on to talk about their cybersecurity efforts in the industry. Promoting your social channels is also a must-do on your career sites today. So if you're on Instagram, if you're on Twitter, Facebook, even Snapchat, promote those on your career sites. At the very least, put them in your footers on your career sites, link off to them. In the case of, this is Gartner's site, they actually embed their, I think it's Instagram posts or tweets into the actual site itself through the Twitter API. But it's pretty easy to do. You can grab the Twitter profile widget from the settings somewhere back there in Twitter and embed your tweets on your site pretty easily with a simple piece of code. Same thing with Facebook. And you can also embed Instagram posts as well through the embed feature on there. So use those, you know. You want to cross-promote every channel you're on for your candidates to encourage them to follow you on whichever channel they want, they choose. You want to make it easy to apply. Long apply processes are dying. The longer yours is, the less conversion you're going to get. So what I like about Tenable here is they have something called, it's like a quick apply. Right? They use a software called Clinch, and it basically lets you put in your name and email address to start the apply process. So they capture the email and the name of the candidate first and foremost, so they can use that later on to remarket to them. All right, and once you click on the apply there, after submitting your name and email, you begin the kind of the regular apply process. So, but they're getting that email, I think, is an important tool, especially if you're going to build talent communities down the road, and it makes the process for the candidate much easier. All right, it's all about the candidates, making it easy, breaking down barriers for them while they're applying to your jobs. The less barriers, the better. All right, let's go into a deeper dive in some of these sites. So this is Gartner. It's jobs.gartner.com. So this is one of the, I think it's a great example of what you should be doing today with your career site. First of all, it's a very modern, clean design. Simple graphics, very visual. It's not fancy, but it really has a clear message, I think. This is their EVP. Turn information into insights and turn your professional ambition into a rewarding future. They've got, and this is all above the fold on your desktop, they've got a search bar to find jobs, right? Very important. You want to bubble up your job listings as much as possible on your homepage. They've got a very simple navigation and kind of, I think, really a good core of pages here to promote yourself about, why, life at, and opportunities for jobs. That's really all you need. They do a great job of doing that. Obviously, real pictures of people, and nicely done. Moving down the page, you've got kind of more subsections of the site. Some events, sales team, so they break down the sales team, what's it like to work there. So that's a great idea, breaking down your departments, showing life in there. Showcasing your star employees, another great tactic. All right, candidates love to read this stuff. And also another great tool, which most companies don't do but should, which is learn about our application process. So tell job seekers what to expect. What's the process going to be like? How long will it take? Who can I expect to meet with? What will the interviews be like? The more you educate them, they'll be better prepared. And I think the experience for both of you will be a much better experience going forward. Just a side note, one of my first jobs out of college was at Gartner, and I got it through an open house. I went to, I think, at night that they were having. And so when we were talking about open houses before, it's a great idea, I think, for a lot of companies. They should do more of that stuff overall, because it really humanizes the company, I think, when you do stuff like that. So here's the bottom of the page. Here's their social media tweets. And they've also got job alerts as well on the homepage. So all your ATSs should have job alerts. The Gartner site itself, I think, is pretty custom built overall. So they're probably tying into the APIs of their ATSs and their social media channels to display all this stuff. So it's kind of an example of what you can do kind of on the extreme side versus some of the other stuff like Purple, which is kind of a simpler site itself. Here's the footer of Gartner's homepage. They've got their awards, which if you have awards, show them off. And again, at the bottom, they link off to their social media sites, connect with us. So a real solid example of a great career site in action. I also wanted to point out one of their job postings too. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot about job postings today, but just a few tips. If you note on here, first of all, I think it's a nice, it's a well done design of a job description. The icons really help to draw your eye. The blue, the green apply is a good call out, right? It's easily seen. And the other part of that is it's on top of the listing itself. So one of my tips is to put the apply button on the top and the bottom of your job listings. It should help the conversion rate overall. They've got the, working in the Stanford area, we can learn more and see a map, things like that. You got recent jobs down here, and you can share the job as well. So, good solid example of a job description. Okay, this is Tenable. So they've got the EVP up here. They've got an image of their employees. It's kind of a shaded background. And they've got basically two calls to action: find your career and see what we're all about. So they funnel them into these two sections from their homepage. Moving down the page, you can explore the teams. Again, they break them out. They've got their Glassdoor rating up there. How many companies do that? 3.6. I think the average is around 3.2 or something. So that's real authenticity there. Here's their embedded Twitter profile. Again, something that's free to use. Just go into your Twitter settings, you can find it back there. Moving down the page, they have a graph here of their growth as a company, which I think is an important stat to show. So they've gone from, in 2010, 110 employees to now 765. Again, moving down the page, just like Gartner, job alerts and awards. Very visual. Again, it really sells the company, I think. Okay, this is Purple. So this is a company I never heard of before. They're actually brand new. They started from a Kickstarter campaign with their mattress. They have some kind of cool mattress they sell and other bedding accessories. So what I like about this, it's a one-page site, but it's kind of 4 pages in one. And it's kind of, I think it really shows off their culture. Okay, so it looks like a fun place to work. I mean, look at this guy's got a mustache on. It's flanked by a couple sumo wrestlers back here. And so, it's just real employees that you see, first of all. It looks like they're having fun at work. And their EVP ties into what they do. Feel better about where you work. Our goal is to help people feel better, it says. We do that by making people laugh through our marketing, addressing daily pains with our unique products, and giving back to communities around the country. We launched in 2016, and with a combination of 20 years of research and experience, we've had 2 crazy successful Kickstarter campaigns, and have built an incredible brand from scratch, and becoming more and more of a household name across the U.S. and soon to be the globe. So as you move down the page, this is what's next. And I love this graphic up here. So it's a day at the life of Purple versus other companies. So it starts out with feeling fine, goes up to happy camper around noon. Let's do this at, in the evening. And unicorns do exist at night. Versus other companies which are just meh. Life sucks, and I'm fine. So again, using humor to promote themselves. It's a great image. So it really says a lot about their culture, I think. And there's their jobs down here. Very simple. I think when you click on them, it's just an email address to apply. So they keep it simple. But I love just the coloring itself. Great design again. Again, it doesn't have to be huge. This is a 1-page site in 4 sections. Not that complicated. One more thing. Put your careers link on your main website navigation. Too many companies bury it in the footer or somewhere else, and it's not visible to candidates. If you're serious about hiring, why are you burying that? Right? So if it's good enough for GE, it's good enough for anybody. It's actually got it twice over here as well. And in the footer, this is a company called Canvas Pop, which I use to they take your pictures and they send you canvas mats out of them. I noticed on their site the other day that they had this little call out in their footer for careers. It says, "We're hiring." It's the only thing that stands out in that footer. So something very simple you can do, just a design tweak to get more clicks to your site. So just kind of to review, I mean, a career site today should have employer branding. You should have employer stories. It should be mobile friendly. Jobs and job alerts, of course. Landing pages and SEO. Let me mention something about that. So Joel talked earlier about working at with the video. So a quick tip would be to create a page called "Working at" your company name. Make that the actual name of the web page itself, the file name. Make that the title of the page itself. So on the page called "Working at," and describe what it's like to work there. Very simple. If you do that today, in a week it should be ranking on Google probably when someone Googles you. So go out and try it. All right. And put it out there. Again, you want to it helps control the message. Right? The more clicks you can get to that, the better. And do that with your other content as well. So videos, an Instagram post as well. A couple other things you can add to your sites now, which a lot of ATSs are doing, are personalization and LinkedIn connections. So apply with LinkedIn, which is becoming much more common. And also talent communities. Being able to, again, capture the email address at the very least, and going back to those candidates and sending them news about your company, keeping them informed around what's happening at your company as well. So it's really about being marketers, if you think about it. To me, recruiting is sales, it's also marketing. And if you're not marketing your jobs today, then they're being drowned out by every other company who's hiring right now. So the more you can do to proactively promote yourself, the better. I think it starts with your career site. A few things about job descriptions too. Tell you a quick story. So working with my job board company up in Maine the other day, the client called in and said, well, we're not getting any candidates to our job. So the job was for an eye care company, eye care center. It was for a patient care coordinator. Okay. So I went and took a look at the job. I read the description. And as I was reading it, I said to myself, you know what? This description does not match the job title. So the description was more about it's a front desk position. You'll be greeting customers, scheduling appointments, things like that. So as soon as I read that, I said, this is a receptionist job, basically, or an admin assistant. Okay. So I told our the customer success person to change the title, and we changed it to front desk administrative assistant. And within 3 days, they had 14 applications. So the tip here really is to look at your job titles. Your job titles are the single first thing that a job seeker sees, essentially, and dumb it down for them. They're not searching for patient care coordinator. They're searching for front desk or admin or coordinator in some cases. The single most used term on Google for jobs is jobs near me. Right? They type very simple searches online when they're looking for jobs. So think about your job titles and the keywords you're using in there when you're posting online, because if you mistitle it, it's not going to be seen, and you're going to get less applications overall. All right. The other thing about job descriptions is that they need to become more visual these days. So I would encourage you to post either a video or an image inside of your job listings themselves. At the cruise line, I took a picture of the ship with our new EDP, Cruise to Work, and I embedded that in each and every job description on the site. And that's the first thing, especially on mobile, that's the first thing they saw when it comes up. So it really helps to set the tone for that job listing itself. All right. So if you have a video, put it out there, embed it into all your stuff, and get visual, because job seekers want to see visual stuff, especially on the web and on social media. The more visual you are, the better off you'll be. All right. So let me hear some questions around your career sites, problems you might be having. Let's talk a little bit in terms of some real-world problems and solutions. Yes.
In organizations that you work with, which function in the organization typically owns the career site?
So typically it's
Design, delivery perspective.
typically it's talent acquisition or HR. For most companies. I know some companies are a little more. Their marketing departments are a little more, how shall we say, guarded about what they do on the sites. If that's the case, consider creating a separate standalone site for yourself that you control. All right? You don't have to have a career site on the company page, a company site if you don't want to. All you need is a link. And if you create your own site, you can just link over to that. So that'd be one piece of advice there. Yes, Joel?
You need to look in your crystal ball a little bit. So how people are using the web is evolving. McDonald's in Australia had people snap their application on Snapchat in 10-second videos. We're seeing chatbots evolving where people are having a conversation with a robot via text message, and in the process they're applying to a company even though they may not necessarily know that they're doing that. I think voice is becoming more important. There might be a day where we say, hey Alexa, send my resume forward or something, right? Where we don't even go to these sites. Is it your thought that these will continue to be a major part of recruiting in the future, 5-10 years from now? Or will the importance of these sites slowly become less important as we use the web in such different ways?
Yeah, I think it's a real possibility. That doesn't mean you can't ignore it. But the other channels now, like on Facebook, you can have people apply to your jobs on Facebook, directly on Facebook, through Messenger, and essentially bypass your career site and ATS altogether. So you will be seeing more of that coming on. The big thing now, I just came back from the HR Tech conference in Las Vegas, and chatbots and AI are all the rage. So applying via chatbot is sort of the next thing that's coming up. It might just be simple as you send a candidate a text message, the chatbot starts engaging with them, asking them pre-screening questions, and they give them a link and they just sync their LinkedIn profile or something. They never see your career site at that point. But if they're Googling you, which they are, your career site's important. It's your chance to shape your own message and tell your own story. That's really the only place you can do that. And the social channels are an extension of that. So think of your career site and your social channels essentially as, one entity. You should be paying attention to all of them and devoting time and resources to all of them as well. So, yes.
So that purple website.
Purple?
Where it had fun graph of, employees just going on it versus at traditional company.
Yeah.
That's like not based on valid research, right? It's just
Yeah, it's humor.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear.
Yeah. As a job seeker, if I looked at that, I know that it's probably not like that, right? But I love the attempt by the company doing that because it tells me a lot about their culture and what it's like to work there. So that's how I took it when I first saw it. Yeah. Yes.
So I'm often of two minds about making it easier to apply because you don't scare away the high value people, but you also just get a lot more, we'll say, mismatched applications. I don't have a question in that statement, but talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think it is a double-edged sword, I guess, but I think that for certain positions, you might be better off with a shorter apply process. Obviously, for high volume stuff, you can't put them through a half-hour apply process. Just a quick story on the cruise line I worked at. We brought in iSIMs to be the ATS, and we decided to try a video, essentially screening question for the candidates, thinking that we would put them on video, see what they're like, because the visualness of the person is important because they're working on ships, things like that. So we decided to send them an invite to do a video before actually, bringing them in for an interview, and no one did them. Like 20% maybe, and we just couldn't. That wasn't enough for us to recruit with. We needed like 80% of them to do videos, but they did not do that. So I think for a higher level job, a longer apply process is fine if you want to weed out those people. But if it's lower volume, entry level stuff, just make it easy because those people are, they're quitting jobs left and right. It's a high turnover industry in a lot of cases, and I think overall millennials too, they hate waiting time. So if you do recruit millennials, make your apply process as short as possible. That's the bottom line. Yes?
5 years ago, my company started using behavioral assessments. So it's a bit of a pet peeve of mine that we have, I would say, an extensive application process where it's a little clunky. And then, at the end, by the way, let's have you fill out or complete 100 behavioral health assessment questions so that we can determine how we interview you if chosen. I'm interested to see how you feel about that and where that's headed in the future.
I think it's okay. I think as long as you set their expectations up front about how long it's going to take to finish the application process, you can do that. You definitely want to tell them what's going to happen. Okay, it's going to take you 30 minutes to finish this. And it better be able to save that state so they can go back later if they get interrupted or something. So as long as it does those things, I think you'll be okay. But yeah, I used predictive index at one point, recruiting, and I would give that out to the candidates as they came in. And we told them it would take 10 minutes of your time. do it at your leisure, etc. But yeah, just set their expectations up front, and that should help at the very least. Anything else? All right, well, here's my digits, and I'll be here all day, so look forward to chatting with you.
Thanks very much. Let's take another break, and we're back at 11:40.